And after processing the file, the result may be again stored as another file. Here, one file is reading from this hard disk, and your Java program is executing that data. Finally, a result is writing as another file to same disk. Basically, that's the concept of files. The remaining part of the session, we are going to discuss some topic in Java, how we can manage files and what are the built-in stream classes to manage files. Okay, here is one example for why we require to manage files. Here we have a Java program that is processing some data. Let us analyze the COVID-19 data, positive cases, negative cases, quarantined, gender, date of birth, country, city. On the left hand side, we have some data on the file. Why it is on the file? This data is huge in size. COVID-19 cases, statistical information collecting around the world, that is huge in size. So we cannot input that through keyboard because that data is collected from various local agencies, government agencies, and collected together as a file. Okay. So we have a file, statistical data contains the COVID-19 patient's details. That is huge in size. That's a raw data there. There is no use of that data if you are doing some analysis, if you are not doing some analysis on that data. By using a Java program, you can read that file. Maybe that is a CSV file, comma separated value file, a text file stored on the pen drive or hard disk drive, or from a cloud disk. You are reading that file into the Java program, and here you are doing some process. Finally, making a meaningful report. So you are reading a file. This is the input there, input. And after the process, you are getting a meaningful output. This is an example of the case or scenario when we require to read a file. These are actually native files. Information on your local file system are native files. So that is an example, the scenario where when we require to read a file, okay, reading a data file and processing, do some process using Java program, and finally create an analysis report. So far we have covered what is the input, output, and files. All programs need something as input, doing some process using your Java code, finally producing an output. Then the files. Files are data or information stored on disk drives. Now, there are some built-in Java class as a part of the Java compiler. before we move further, I'm going to explain what is stream. Stream is nothing but data flow, sequence of data towards a process, and a sequence of data bytes sending outside the process. This flow of data bytes is technically called stream, data stream. Data from the network socket towards your application is also an example for data stream. Stream means a flow in terms of bytes, data bytes traveling to your application and traveling outside your application, that are called streams. Okay, there are two kinds of streams. First section we discussed input, output. The category of streams for processing input file and processing output file. Data input stream and output stream. When you want to read a file, you have to use input stream class. When you want to write something to the disk, the opposite direction, data traveling from your application to disk, output process, you have to use output stream. So in Java, not in Java, in many all programming languages, there are two concepts, input stream and output stream. One is data stream towards your application, and the other one is traveling in the opposite direction towards an output device. So to read a file, you have to use input stream. Read means input. Write means output. Writing something to the file, you have to use output stream. When you read a newspaper, you are collecting information into your main memory, brain. That is input. Read means input. When you write something on the paper, notepad, that is an output process. You are writing something from your main memory, the brain, to the paper, output. So input and output, input stream and output stream. So in Java, we have two basic category of stream, input stream and output stream. Now, try to go through the different stream classes in Java. You have to collect a picture like this. This picture is common. If you do a Google search, Java stream classes, and click on images, you will get a number of pictures. All are almost same, and there may be some difference or how people prioritize this class. Okay, this is a common picture. The class diagram, different classes are there. Anyway, the first two classes are again input stream and output stream. Other classes are inherited from this base class. So first one is input stream and output stream. The other classes in this layer are inherited from the base class. These first four classes inherited from base class input stream. Here the buffer input stream and the data input stream. Two classes are derived from filter input stream, this one. Okay, the arrow mark shows that. So we have two base classes and a number of other classes. Not all classes are in this picture. Sorry about that. We have two base classes, input stream and output stream. Then different classes are reproduced using the technique inheritance. Inheritance means from a base class or parent class, we are hiring some properties from the parent class and modifying things and building a new class. A class means there is some data definitions and also some function definition that is called methods. So data definition and method. I think you people already did a couple of programs that illustrate what is a class and how we can create an object from the class. Okay, so you have to by heart all the different class names. University maybe ask you to discuss about stream classes in Java. So this is the first part. This picture is very important. That shows the entire class diagram and how inheritance. Say this part you can see multiple inheritance, and this is an example of multi-level inheritance. If you study this part, the upper layer, and things are easy because the keyword input is replaced by output in the lower layer. Example, file input stream. The other side, output stream. File output stream is there. The input stream and output stream, that are the base class. That is again called abstract class because we are not creating any, usually we are not creating any objects from the base class, input stream and output stream. That contains some common methods. I think you did file related programs in your first year using C programming. So all files associated with some common activities, file open, file read, file write, file close. So for instance, close a file. That is common for all files. After the use, we have to close the file. So objects of this class, file input stream, objects of offered input stream, all require to close. So that function close, the method close, is common for all. So such methods are defined in the base class. If something common, two classes are derived from a parent class, if some methods are common, you can include that in the base class. Also, methods in base class can be modified or rebuilt in the child classes. Say for instance, suppose we have a write function here, write. Write method in file filter output stream that can be modified in this class. Okay, so that there the write method is in another structure. Maybe that is taking more parameters. So that is practical. That technique is called function overloading. A function can be defined in many ways depending on the matching parameters. Proper function call will work. That is a topic of function overloading. Now, all these classes, stream classes associated with constructors. A constructor is nothing but a method that will automatically trigger, automatically execute when an object created in memory. So for instance, this class file input stream. Inside the class, another method is there called file input stream that will take some file name as parameters. We will see one example. I will talk to you more then. So this picture is important. That will illustrate the entire structure of stream classes in Java. Two categories are there: input stream and output stream. And many flavors of other classes are derived from the base class. And you can see also here the inheritance property, polymorphism, function overloading, concept of constructors, etc.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sorry for the interruption. Sir,
Okay.
so far we have closed 20 minutes of our session.
Okay.
We haven't received any questions so far. So we'll go for the another 20 minutes of the session, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So next we are going to see Java terminologies related to stream. There are three types of Java terminologies. Stream. The first one is stream that deals with byte level data, reading or writing everything in terms of bytes, say 8-bit. Second category of streams, readers and writers that deal with character level, data with character level. The first one is simple 8 bits. The second one, reader or writer, translate that into character, say one alphabet A. Also some Unicode conversions are there. The third one is buffered reader and buffered writer. Buffer means an area in memory, main memory. That is temporary storage area to manage files quickly. Reading data from the hard disk is first stored on the buffer. Buffer is in main memory. Main memory means that is semiconductor memory. As you know, the semiconductor memory is quicker or faster. CPU can deal the data very quickly. Or reading from the hard disk everything on demand is not good sometimes. That is the buffered reader concept. The first one is streams, reading and writing bytes. The second one, reader and writer. There is some encoding that is converting to character, dealing data in character level. Buffered reader and buffered writer. So that there is a temporary memory area called the buffer. Buffer is a physical place in main memory. Main memory is semiconductor memory, so that your Java code can quickly collect or easily manage data from the buffer, because that work faster. The next slide I explain the three scenarios. First one is streams, reader and writer, buffered reader and buffer writer. See the first one here. Second. Okay, see, this area is the source data. That is a file on your hard disk. An input stream read bytes, reading bytes, doing some process at the binary level, and then writing as bytes. Input stream read, process everything in terms of bytes. Now character encoding. Say for example, if you want to copy a file to another, if you want to make the copy of a file 1 is already there, file 1. Okay, here we have a file 1. And your Java program reading the entire bytes using input stream. Then writing that as a different file, certainly same content, but a different file, F2. Now we can say F1 and F2 are same file. We made a copy of F1 and the file name is F2. Taking everything as bytes, then finally sending to another file in terms of bytes. Now the reader works differently. An input stream, the first one, read a file from the hard disk drive to input stream. Again, a reader is processing that file, that is another stream, and so that you can make it as characters. Example, suppose we are reading a file and displaying on the monitor. An input stream, read the file. Using a reader class, you can collect character by character, then finally send to the monitor. Now the last one, buffered reader. See this, as the name implies, there is a buffer. This is some place in physical memory. Your program, this Java program, is directly interacting on the buffer, not on the hard disk, this one. An input stream is collecting bytes, then that is processed by another stream reader, then taking into the buffer. We will see such an example after this session. Taking into the buffer. So your program directly interact with the buffer so that it can read the entire data. Again, maybe a second read from first to last. Again, maybe reading data from half of the buffer to the entire session. And in that case, your program is not dealing or requesting anything to the hard disk for each read and write. Something already copied on the buffer can manage the data within the memory in many ways. Maybe after reading, into the buffer, you are skipping first 500 bytes, then reading. That is also possible in the case of buffered stream object. Okay, so these are the three uh, type of streams. So logic in Java, technique in Java to manage files. The first one is streams, handling everything in terms of bytes. Unicode character. That means you can translate that into alphabets. The byte read from the disk drive or files is translated into characters. Buffered reader is an intermediate buffer to speed up things. Buffer, the physical place is in semiconductor memory, that means the main memory. You know, the main memory is quicker than hard disk drive. So reading something each and every time from the hard disk drive or from the file, you get everything ready into the buffer first, then your Java program can execute quicker. Now, simple, this again categorized in another way, simple input and output streams. You have to remember all these names. This is actually from these these are from this picture or the class names. You have to remember all these class names. See, there is only a couple of class names are here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you know this 7, you can easily write the other part because this is just changing input to output. And I have highlighted two classes, file input stream, this one and this one. In majority of the case, we are using file input stream and file output stream because the other classes are processing the data differently. So simple input and output streams that are file input stream and file output stream. That first for processing native files. Native files means text files, Excel files. Okay. Then piped input stream and piped output stream. You know the concept of pipe in Unix. Output of one process is sending to as the input of other process. That is the pipe architecture. Sometimes a Java program may be multi-threaded. I think threading is another topic in this module. Execution in parallel, that concept is called threading. So one process reading a file and processing. The output is by another thread. So that is the concept of piped input stream and piped output stream. Byte array input stream and byte array output stream. That is again the concept of buffered data, everything in byte array memory. Sequence input stream that is used to combine or concatenate multiple streams. Now, filtered streams, data input stream and data output stream. This is again from our first picture. Here you can see there is nothing new. Here you can see data input stream and data output stream. Okay, so most of the time we are using two important file streams, that is file input stream and file output stream. Each and every class definition associated with some definition of methods. Say in file input stream we have methods like close, read, finalize, available, and many. Okay, so the first one, file input stream. Some methods are there. It's a built-in class, of course. Some methods are there. As this is input, we have read function there. In the case of output stream, corresponding function is write. Here also in this class, file output stream, clause is there, finalize is there, available is there. So a class definition itself means definition of number of methods, functions. Also some constructor associated with that. The next session, we are going to write a small Java program to read a file. At that time, I will explain more in about file input stream. Okay. Again, some standard streams are there, standard inputs. That is the keyboard, standard output. That is system.out. That is monitor that represents the user console or monitor. Some error handling streams are there. Nearly 1 o'clock, so I have to go to the program. So we are going to write a Java program that illustrate how you can use these different class streams, how you can open a file, etc. I will quickly explain that. This is the logic. I have a file in my C drive temporary directory and file name is test.txt. I'm going using a Java program. I'm going to read the file and copying that to another file, say testcopy.txt. Reading one file, writing the same to another file. So this require file input stream object and this require file output stream object. Okay, make sense? Okay, so the compilation step, Java compilation is different, unlike other programming languages like C or C++. Java compilation is different. When you compile a C program, that will generate some intermediate code, say object file, and finally the linking process, link library to the object file, and finally make an exe file. Exe file means executable file. And your operating system, whether it is Windows, you are compiling a C program in Windows, your Windows program can directly execute that exe file. But in the case of Java, it's not like that. Java always the compilation process generates an intermediate code that is called a Java class. See, when you write a Java program, you are going to write a Java program now. So that requires compilation. The Java source code, some file in Java. When you compile that program, the compiler produce dot class file. You compile x.java, the compilation process produce x.class. And this x.class can be executed by a virtual machine or Java runtime environment that is required to execute a Java program. Whether your operating system is Windows, Linux, flavors of Unix, Mac, mobile, whatever it is, you read this program or the virtual machine called Java runtime. So Java runtime is actually executing the class, not directly your operating system. In the case of a compiled C program, operating system directly executing the executable file. But in Java program, the compiled class cannot directly execute by your operating system without Java runtime. So we have to require two things to execute a Java program: Java runtime and Java development kit, JDK, JRE and JDK. When you install this, in most of the machine, this Java runtime is already installed. If not, you cannot run the Java program. That will show an error message. At that time, you can download Java runtime from the internet. This is free, and Java development kit, that is again free. When you install Java development kit, you will get a program tools to edit your Java program that is called Eclipse. Okay. So this is the program logic. We are going to execute this program. Going to write the code as well. So we are going to make a Java program that is reading a file, this one, and the class used is, of course, input file stream, and the object that is called infile, that is a user variable, object name, object of type input file stream, that is pointing to this file. Okay. So that is reading to a buffer memory area here, and from this memory area, that is being transmitted to an output file. File name is C drive temp test copy.txt, and there I have to use output file stream class to manage that file, because that is output. Here we have to use input file stream because that is an input file, and here the object name is out file. Okay. Okay, now we have to go to the compiler. I'm going to share another screen. This one. Okay, Abhijit, can you see this screen?
Yes, sir. We can see the program.
Okay. Okay, thanks. This is another machine, so I have to. This is not my laptop anyway, so I have to make this full screen. Okay, now it is clear. So I have that program here that is copying copying a file. See, the first part is some import statements, that is importing required class libraries, similar to your include statement in C language.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sorry for the interruption, sir. We only have 10 minutes left. So, please.
Okay. I will wind up that within next 5 minutes.
Fine, sir. Fine, sir.
Okay. So the first part is the import statements, and here I have created the object C in file that is pointing to test.txt, and the second file, the output file. I'm going to rewrite this test copy. Okay. Now here the file is reading into buffer, and finally using write statement, the output object is calling write statement to write data to the second file. I'm going to execute this program. So just run. There is a small error. What is it? Oh, sorry, this file is not there. We try temp, quickly creating that file. We try temp. There I have to create that file. New text file. Where is it? Okay. So rename that as test, and opening that file and typing here, this is a test, saving, closing, come to Eclipse. Now it will work. See, file copied successfully. That is actually this message here. This message, the code is completed now. And before, the error message is actually fired from this exception area. And if you look on the C drive, see the new file is there, test copy, and it is exactly what is the original file. So I'm going to head off from this session.
So one second, sir. We have two questions here, sir.
Okay.
One second. Okay. What are applets in Java? That's a question.
Okay. So Java applets is actually a different topic.
Oh.
That is not related to file. When you create web forms, web application using Java, you have to create text box or buttons, and on button click you can run something. So if you want to create a registration form, and if you want to submit that to a server, then you can create a web application. In that case, only you can use Java applets. That is a small class. You can call that class in browser as a part of the HTML. HTML, you know the HTML page. In that HTML page, you can embed some Java code so that looks like a Windows application or local application. Java applet is actually a different topic.
Okay, sir.
So
the question is, can you explain the role of buffer in data access speed from hard drive?
Okay. So the buffer is actually primary memory area. That is semiconductor memory, RAM. CPU is directly interacting everything in the RAM. Okay, not in the RAM. There is another layer called cache memory. That means CPU, your application code is executing by the CPU. That CPU is not directly interacting with the hard disk drive. Where the file is in the hard disk drive. In the just previous example, we read one file from the hard disk drive, C column temp test.txt. That file is in the hard disk drive. CPU cannot directly fetch the hard disk drive. So in the case of large volume data, we are reading directly from the hard disk and processing by the CPU, then again reading the next part of the file, processing by the CPU, again reading the next part. That is a slow process. But if you are using buffer, the data is coming into the buffer while processing that data by the CPU. The next part, next required data that can be queued into the buffer. That will make more quicker. Is that okay?
Okay, so we do have 5 minutes left. Few of them are requesting for you to explain that code, which you wrote
Okay.
some programming. They just want a brief explaining of
Sure.
that code.
I thought
Please do that.
the time is over. That is fine.
No, we do have
So,
5 minutes left, sir. If you can do it quickly, we'll be grateful.
okay, that is fine. Oh, this is here. This is the Eclipse. Okay, just click on File, then create a new Java project. That is the first step. You can download Eclipse from the internet. See, always look on a trusted site. Say, for instance, if you are searching Java runtime environment, Java runtime, there are many websites as this file, but I prefer something like this, oracle.com, Java runtime environment. Maybe a chance of virus are there from if you download from other websites. Okay, so always download from trusted website. So once you have installed the Java runtime and the Eclipse, the next step is load Eclipse and click on File. Now new Java project. Okay, and I'm going to write test project. Finish. See, the test project is there. Now I can create new class there. Okay, new class. Then put the class name here. Okay, again test class. And if you want to see all Java classes, if you want to execute something, there is a method called public static void main. Okay, you can include that as well. Otherwise, you have to type. See, now the environment for the coding is ready. If here you can type create objects, then other part of the code, then execute. Okay, so for instance, system dot out. It's a remote machine, that is why it is slow. Out dot print line hi world. On spelling print. Okay. So to execute this, you can click this icon. Some exceptions are there. Semicolon, missing semicolon, maybe that. See, that is printed. So in the same way, you can create project and classes. And I have to explain this code here. This code is very simple. It doesn't make complicated to see. Two objects we are creating. One is input file, this one, and the second one is output file. Okay, input file read something to this object that is pointing to C column temp test.txt. This 2/ is actually used to bypass. The slash is actually something related to escape sequence. I have no time. And the output file. We are reading this first file and writing to this. And the class used are file input stream, and to write a file output stream is the class. Okay, and this is a general form of object definition. Class name, object name, new, class name. That's the general format. Okay, the class name, my object name is in file. You can use different file name if you want. New, creating an instance of the file input stream. Okay, in the same way, creating file output stream, class name, object name equal to new class name. And this file name is taken by the constructor. Inside this class, there is an automatic method defined that will take this argument and open the file for you. Okay, this is a temporary memory area where we are reading. This is in the main memory buffer. Okay, we are reading data into buffer. Now, using a while loop, I'm reading in file. In file, there is a method read in input file stream. There is a method write in output file stream. Okay, file output stream. Okay, so this is a process reading data, 1024 data from input file and writing that 1024 data to the output file. Output file is this one. Okay, so that will repeat until this process, the number of character to be read is greater than 0, then that will work. Okay, when it reaches 0, process will stop. Finally, you have to close both files. Okay, the close is another. Now, since this is a IO related program, you have to keep the code in try block catch. Okay, see here we have a try and a catch is there. That means this is the try block. If something happened in this area, say this file is not found, then you will get error. In that case, you can safely handle the program at here. Say for instance, here you can print system.out.println file not exist. Okay. What is Abhijit? The time is over.
Yes, sir. The time is up. We do have few more questions. We'll do one thing, sir. We'll
Okay.
email these queries to you. You can
Okay.
please send us back the replies for these queries. We'll post that in our session. Along with the session, we'll post these answers in the YouTube channel. Okay, sir?
Okay.
Okay.
1 second. Hold 1 second.
Sure, sir.
Just. Okay. Hope you enjoyed this session.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for watching
spreading
this.
your information.
Thank you for
We
watching
do
this
send
lesson.
these queries to you and we'll get answers from you.